phone me so you can.
Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to Bold Women on the Move. This year is different. We're trying to put a face to the name, Bold Women on the Move. So, in this year, um, we're trying to, as much as possible, be intentional and be real so that we can, as bold women, be able to um, make more impact. Now, I have with me in the studio someone that is not strange to us because she's been on Bold Women on the Move in the past. I think the second or third series of Bold Women on the Move, we had Dr. Adesayo joined us to speak about thesis which focus on migrant women, their achievements and the challenges around their settling in a new country. And that is something that is of a passion to our hearts. We're interested in knowing what sort of challenges migrant women that have moved from their country to another country might be facing. So this is the year 2022, and we felt we should start the year on an encouraging note, a motivational note. And Dr. Adesayo is an influence coach. She's an influence coach, and she's authored in the last 1 year. She's authored 4 books. That's really awesome. She's authored 4 books, and yeah, we brought her here today. We just want her to, like I said, we want to motivate women and we want to be able to talk about how to be able to make the best of 2022. Now, no pressure, okay? I'm turning to be a Kiwi, and I always want people to know that we don't have a know it all answer. And we're not claiming that we are expert, but these are just some of the principles that we believe that if you decide to use them, they will help you to be able to achieve your goal for the year 2022. So, Dr. Adesayo, welcome to Both Women on the Move podcast.
Thank you so much. I'll say good morning because we are in New Zealand. I'm in Auckland, New Zealand, and Dr. Marenike Oladende is in Christchurch. So it's morning time here in New
Yeah.
Zealand. And wherever you're going to be watching from later, we welcome you to your new beginning. We know that this is a year of harvest, bountiful harvest, for that matter. It is a year that so many of us will be restored. We know the devourer, the COVID-19, but God says that this is the year that it will restore the years the cankerworm, the caterpillar, and the palmerworm has eaten. So if you're a woman of faith, definitely you'll
Mm.
be able to key into what I'm talking about. But,
Yeah.
I mean, whoever you are, whatever you believe in, I know the
Mhm.
word restoration stands out for you. So whatever you have lost, in the past few years, this is the year that you will be restored. And it takes time, it takes strategy, it takes power, to be restored. And as we continue, in this process, we will learn some of the things that we need to equip ourselves with so that we can actually have the bountiful harvest that God has promised us this year. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so
So
much, Dr.
thank you.
Adesayo. Dr. Adesayo is a pastor, so so she's a strong woman of faith. So yes, we believe in God, and I know that there are many listeners out there that have one form of faith and one form of belief. And we also know that the supernatural also controls a lot of things. So even with all the principles we are going to share, some of us have those elements of the supernatural that we'll hold on to even in a new year. So, Dr. Adesayo, I have titled today's podcast the 2022 Bold Woman on the Move. I was asking myself what's different? Why 2022? Because I know that in recent time, different terms have began to emerge. You have the Gen Z. You are, just terminologies, different people from the particular ages they were born, and we've also noticed that trends and time have changed, especially in the last 2 years with the infectious disease COVID-19, causing lots and lots of challenges, and everything has changed. We have to rethink. We have to re-engineer the way we do things, even business, even physical contact has
Strategize.
changed. Healthcare has changed. Everything has changed. And maybe 5 years ago, the world might not have imagined that we will find ourselves, in this kind of space. Another thing I noticed is that when COVID-19 hit, um, for a long time, most countries use the option of lockdown, keeping away, and most businesses shut down. But all of a sudden, you
Yes,
find out
that's
that
so
some
true.
smart business started some strategy of, they started re-strategizing ways of doing business. And most things began to move online. So there's a new way of rethinking. There's a new way of doing things. So that is why in 2022, a bold woman on the move, must have stuff that doing things differently, being able to meet up with the demands of time. And at the same time, you do it in such a way that you will still be able to, look after yourself. So, and I know that you're a woman of goal, you are an achiever. And so I want you to just share with us. I also have some point that I will also be sharing with our listeners about the 2022 bold woman. If you are to be a bold woman in this year, what are some of the stuff? So I'll give you the goal. Yeah, start for us. What is the very first thing you think the 2022 bold woman on the move need to begin to do or needs to do differently in this year?
All right. Thank you so much for that opportunity. So, when we talk about bold women on the move, it means that you have to move. It means that you need
Mm.
to change your location. It means that you need to move forward. It means that you need to be open, to more possibilities. So, my question is, are you open to better possibilities? Are you ready to shift from where you are right now forward? Some people are shifting, they are shifting backward. But if you are going to be a bold woman on the move, it means you need to change your location. It means you need to move, from where you are right now forward. And so, what does it take to move forward? And I'll quickly go through this. I believe that this moment will be a one defining directions, unfolding realities, and significant shift in this year. So if you are going to be a bold woman on the move, you need to be clear about defining your directions. You need to, learn about unfolding realities. We've mentioned that we're in a new world. We can't continue to do things the way we used to do things anymore. And if you are not ready to jump in, you are likely to be left behind. So it's a significant shift that we expect this year. But are you ready? If you are not ready, you cannot become anchored and aligned to the truth and vision. So, I, I came, with my own conviction that this is my year of bountiful harvest. So, what does it take? So, when we talk about harvest, harvest is work. Some people just think, oh, harvest, I'll go there. No, no. Seed, time, harvest. So harvest is still work. But my question is, what did you sow? If you did not sow anything, you cannot have an harvest. If you did not apply for a job last year, you can't be given that opportunity. If you had a
Yeah.
family and you choose not to fall pregnant, you cannot expect to have a baby this year. If you did not start a degree either last year or 2 years, you cannot confidently say, I'm going to graduate this year or I'm going to graduate, by next year. So what I'm trying to say is this is the year that you need to be very clear about defining your directions and unfold realities and be ready for that significant shift. This is when you can actually be anchored and actualize, your vision or your dream. So definitely you must have a vision, you must have a purpose, but you need to be very clear about the direction such dreams, such goals, or such purpose will be taking you in the new year.
So you talk about moving and not just physical movement. I know that this podcast mostly targets women that have moved from one place to the other. But now you find yourself in a new space, in a new country, and with the whole world, facing these challenges and lots of stuff, just like I said, lots of the need to re-strategize. You have to know that it's not enough for you to have moved physically. You need also to have a mental shift.
Mentorship.
Okay. Yeah, in your mind, you're ready to change. You're ready to, to move around, and that's one of also the points that maybe I should just join it up with Dr. Adesayo points. I believe that I am a change communicator. And one of the things that I've found that a bold woman on the move will have to navigate is that concept of change.
Yes.
Change. When you talk about change, you are talking of things differing from the initial status quo or from the initial thing.
Yes.
Things moving away. Okay, having a different status quo. That
Mm.
is what is called change.
Yeah.
And in 2022, as a bold woman on the move, you I mean in I mean in follow up to the term shift in your mentality is for you
Yeah.
to have a change avowed mind. Be ready to be able to change.
Have a kind
Okay.
of
I'm not
transformation.
talking about being inconsistent. Okay, I'm not talking about being inconsistent. I'm just saying that be fluid. That's what the scientists will call it. Be fluid. When you talk about fluidity, the ability to move along.
Yeah.
Okay, do not be static in
Yes.
this year. We are in unprecedented time. Okay,
Fine.
for example, in New Zealand, hopefully, the government said there will be no more lockdowns. I guess that was what they're gonna use other approaches to combat COVID-19. As much as possible, there will be no longer lockdowns. Okay, but what if things get out of hand and then there is a lockdown? Okay. Then what are we gonna do again? So that is having a change. Embrace change. We live in unprecedented time with sudden announcements, new variants. That's another thing that COVID-19 has taught us. Okay, we started with COVID-19 itself, then we went on to the Delta variant, and then we went on to Omicron. Okay, then
2021.
Omicron now. Omicron was last year. The COVID-19 itself was 2019. 2020, before the end of 2020, Delta came. It took us through 2021. 2021 coming to an end, Omicron started. Do we know what we're going to come up with this year? Okay, we started with COVID-19 vaccine. We had one jab, second jab. There is the booster also here. Do we know what other health recommendation will come up? But have an adjustable mind, okay?
Mhm.
In 2022, be fluid and just like Dr. Adesayo said, be ready to shift. Okay, Dr. Adesayo, take it away. What
All right.
other things 2022 bold woman on the move? What other things should they be doing in this year to
Okay.
achieve their goal?
So what we're talking about, about that shift is to have a kind of mindset that is ready, to learn. So we're talking about being flexible, isn't it? We're talking about having a growth mindset. So today it's going to be all about growth. Take, for example, if you had a baby last year, you would expect the child, if maybe she's 4 months or 6 months, you would expect the child to be crawling, at this
mm,
stage. You are envisaging that in couple of months, she will start, working and taking solid instead of milk. So if you are going to be a bold woman on the move, you also need to have this growth mindset whereby, like we have stated, you are moving, you have that flexibility. You are not, that rigid. Take, for example, what we're doing now. We didn't do it before COVID-19.
yeah.
The two of us, were lecturers at one stage or the other. I remember
Mm,
teaching in social work. I'll go to the class, I teach my student one-on-one. Then, we'll do practical stuff, give them scenario, that they're going to get into groups, and do all sorts. But when COVID came, we couldn't really have that contact, with any student. So we had to teach on Zoom. We had to, we just had to, become flexible. And that is how, you know, the fragrance of influence actually came, you know, to reality. Because I thought if I was working almost 24 hours for the university, because I wasn't sleeping, preparing
yeah.
classes, recording
Marking.
classes, marking. So that thing told me that what you're doing for this university, you can actually do it for you. I didn't know
Mm,
anything about, I didn't know much about technology, but I did not fold my hands and say, well, I'm not an IT person. How can I go, virtual? But I was ready to learn. I was ready to learn from people who are, like maybe kind of experts. I had to take
mm,
coaching. I had a friend who had, a virtual conference. She took me through. I have a son, who is always helping me, setting up YouTube, teaching me all those things. But I
mm,
didn't know all those things. But I could be rigid. I could say, well, I'm well over 50. Why do I need to? But I had to challenge myself because I
mm,
wanted to continue to be relevant. So if you're going to be a woman, a bold woman on the move, you need to ask yourself, do you have this growth mindset? Or are you just rigid? This is the way we do it. This is the custom. This is the culture. You are not ready to
mm,
change anything. Or you came into the
mm,
country, you're a migrant. You came as a medical doctor and you're getting frustrated because you can't really find yourself, any employment, though you have all your registration or whatever.
mm,
I have like one or two cases like that. Medical doctors, they've done everything that they needed to do to practice in New Zealand. But one one it was able to get, into the system. The other one is still not able, but she's not sitting down. She's doing some
mm,
other things. Last week she called me that they bought a house. And I was really happy,
mm,
happy because she could, just stay there and say, well, I'm waiting until I'm able to practice, medicine in New Zealand. No, she's doing other things. And I'm not sure those things are even related, to medicine. So that is the kind of mindset,
medicine.
you know,
Mm,
that we are talking about. So if you are going to move, are you ready to grow personally? Do you want to grow in your ministry? Do you want to grow in your business this year? Definitely you need to have that growth mindset. And because I'm a woman of faith, I would also tell you the first thing is to pray, 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 pray. I can't Yes, I can't over. I don't know if you believe in God or if you
okay,
do not
push
believe.
it, Pastor Desayo.
Yes, but I'm saying, because Genesis 1, this is not going to be a preaching, but because this is who I am, this is what is working
Mm,
for me. In the beginning,
mm,
God. So this is the beginning of 2020. Whatever you desire to do, you need to pray, 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 so that you can get the direction that I talked about. Remember, the first thing I said is this is a year that you need to have defining direction. It is a year that you are going to have unfolding realities. It's a year of significant shifts, and you cannot do it by yourself. So if
Mm.
you're a woman of faith, please, please put your hope, in God and talk to Him, and He will help you.
And begin
Thank
to
you.
pray. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Adesayo. So she's talked about growth. We need to grow in 2022. Do not be static. Do not you must have goals. Of course, you must have things that you want to achieve, growth in your career. And what she's also trying to say is there is not just one way, to achieve your career. You can always, do things in another way. And that's what I have tagged reinventing yourself and readjusting your mindset. Okay? In 2022, for you to grow, you need to be able to reinvent yourself. What's an invention? An invention is a creation of a man. A man has an idea about something and put some stuff together and invent, like light was invented and stuff like that. But now, electricity is not, like most countries are moving away from using electricity to what is known as solar power. That's reinvention.
Yes.
Both perform the same both perform the same purpose, but there is re-strategizing, there is reinvention, there is changes, there is growth.
Yes.
Because solar power, is not as limiting as electricity. It may be costly to install
Yes.
it initially, but
Initially,
mm,
yeah.
initially, but eventually the benefit you reap from it is, more lasting than electricity, and the contract is not as binding as electricity. So that is reinventing yourself. Someone was talking about, so I just, came across a random person talking online, and he was talking about how to make wealth.
Mm,
Dr. Adesai, do you know what that person said? The person said, those of you that are educated, go back and start doing your parents' business.
mm,
That was what the person said. He said, go back and start doing your parent business. Stop deceiving yourself. Because you're educated does not mean that you can't do those things that your parents did. You only need to do what? Reinvent. Do it. Add your education to it and do it in a different way. Back in Nigeria, where we came from, we believe that when you are educated, then it
mm.
means you should dissociate yourself from your family business.
From the grassroots.
Yeah, from your family business. But what we have discovered when we moved to New Zealand is that people don't dissociate themselves from their family business, farming, or they go to school, study so that they can reinvent the
Better
family business, do it in a better way.
way.
Okay, so if your mom was selling food, like, I'm always proud to say it, my mom sold food all her life, like different. It's like maybe she just realized that she's just blessed. But I once grew up knowing her selling rice. Then after
Mm.
a while, she stopped selling rice. She started selling condiments. I remember she
We
started
were talking
selling
about
condiments.
curry yesterday.
Curry, yeah, thyme, tomato. She did beautifully, in that one. Then after a while, she came back to cooking again. She started selling fish, frying fish. After a while, she went into bread business. I remember that bread business. Oh my good Lord. It was booming. I had just gained admission into
I get bread.
Polytechnic then. Wow. My mom, very early in the morning, and we were all supporting her. We'll have to wake up 5 a.m. and get to the bakery to be able to pack the bread, and then she would distribute to others. She became like a depot for bread. They called them depot in those days for bread. She collect from the bakery directly and then distribute to the retailers. And she really made it. And then after a while, she started selling beans, with the bread. Real ones, so big pots of beans, maybe like, I don't know, 40-liter pot of beans that she would cook and sell up in a day. Then she added rice to it. And then after a while, when she felt she was grown and becoming too not enough to do, then she started selling condiments back again, and
mm.
pure water, and so now I thought about it. This skill is so natural to me. Even though I hold PhD, it's so
Yes,
natural to me. It comes
you'll
in,
just
and
be
do
a
you know
better
how
communicator
many,
selling food.
yeah, yeah. Do you know how
Customer
many years
service. Your customer service is on top already.
is on top? I can communicate. I can go online. I can do so many things. Reinvent yourself. You've got skills, that you can make use of, and readjust your mind, because for you to grow, you need to have a readjustment mentality. No, don't, you talked about somebody. I know also of the medical doctors. Medical doctors really have challenges in this country, because some of them that are from maybe African countries, mostly, that I know, usually have challenges of being able to practice in New Zealand. I know of one. Do you know what she did? She went after she's done all the exam and she's passed and she couldn't get a placement. She went back and studied nursing.
Nothing.
She did that nursing for 2 years. Okay, she did a master's in nursing, and of course, a medical doctor. What is nursing to her? She did the nursing. Of course, she got a job with nursing in CDHB, and she started working as a nurse. It was while she was on the job that she was able to get a placement as a doctor. Now she's practicing as a medical doctor. So reinvent yourself and have a readjustment mentality. So thank you everyone, on both Women on the Move. For those listening on the radio,
Mm.
we'll take a pause. We usually take a pause, and we'll listen to a music, and then we'll be right back, and then we'll continue. But for those of us watching it, we'll have to continue. And Dr. Adesayo, over to you. What other things should the 2022 both Woman on the Move, what other adjustments should they be having? Yeah.
Okay. And like I said, I'm going to be talking about growth. And I guess what is really important when we talk about growth is you need to be intentional about it. Growth don't just happen, you know.
Mm.
You need to be intentional. And like we have mentioned, you can actually choose to grow or to be complacent. It is your choice.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
so we're saying that even if you came into the country, with a qualification, and if you're not getting job opportunities, that
Mm.
doesn't mean that you should be complacent, about your life. You should be intentional about knowing what is the next step. What do I need to do? So you can choose to grow from where you stand, or you can also choose to be complacent. So when we talk about intentional personal growth, I want to ask you, how far do you want to go? How far do you want to go this year? My coach will say, sit down and ask yourself, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I was sharing with
Mm.
a friend of mine who another friend's boyfriend went to meet the father before they got married. And the man was asking him, what is your 5 years plan? And the young boy was rambling about me, 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 me. So the man said, I can't see my daughter, in this 5 years plan. I cannot see, you know,
Mm.
and that broke the heart, of the elderly man. And he
Mm.
told his daughter, I said, well, I can't see you in these guys, So how far do you want to grow? Do you have an idea? When I found myself in education setting, I was very clear that I wasn't going to stop until I backed a PhD. And I
Mm.
satisfied myself. All right, like we said, we are moving to some other things now. Fragrance of influence. I sit down and I envisage. Yesterday, or even 2 days ago, I was having this conversation with one of my spiritual children. I said, when I
Mm.
look at Les Brown, what does he know that I don't know?
Mm.
What does Les Brown have that I don't have? The revered Miles Moreau had three PhDs, but I have one. How was he
mm,
able to die empty and I'm still where I am today? And it's because most of the time, we are fearful. So the first thing I want to encourage you is you need to capture your fear. You need to have faith. We're still coming back to faith. There's popular, adage. If you believe you can, yes, you can. If you believe
mm,
you cannot, yes, you cannot. You're right either way.
mm, mm.
You're right either
Depending on
way.
what you believe. Mm,
It depends on what you believe. So what are you
mm,
afraid about? Sometimes, like I said, I'm a woman of faith, you know, but I'll have a strong feeling. A thought will come to my mind. Do you know? I kill the thought immediately because I think, oh, it's not for people like us. Maybe, it's for people like, all those, you know, established, ministers or coaches or
or
whatever,
coaches,
or
the big
coaches,
coaches,
big coaches. No,
the
but
John Maxwell coaches.
Your Maxwell, of this world. Well, the first thing is you need to capture your fear. So my question is, what does your fear look like? Do you
Mm,
have an idea? So you need to have that conversation and reflect on what your fear looks like. Another thing is, are you afraid of failure? One thing I've realized in my life is if you don't, if you do not step out, you know, it's possible for you it's possible for you to actually get killed because
mm,
you limit yourself so much. There's so many opportunities there, but you're afraid of failure, but do it afraid. Even if you are going to fail, in 10 years ago, I won't say what I'm saying now. My husband
mm,
it's a risk taker. Ha.
mm.
There's no amount of money that my husband cannot invest. It doesn't
Invest.
fit to him. For me, I will find, what if we lost this money? What if he did it? I must have what? He won't even think about it
You want
twice.
assurances.
I want, I was a kind of maybe calculative, risk
Mm.
taker. But that
And
wasn't,
accountants will say that the higher your risk, the higher your profits.
yeah,
That is the principle.
that
The
is it.
higher the risk, the higher the profits.
So we're talking. So I want to ask yourself, why is that fear of failure? Sometimes, we love security.
Mm.
I could continue to be a lecturer in this country.
Yeah.
I could,
The
because
regular
that
pay, the status quo.
that was my comfort zone,
I know.
that was something that I was used to. But I kept hearing that you can actually start this. Even when I was about to start, my PhD, though to start writing my books, I wrote my PhD was still 86,000 words because I used narrative. But when I wanted to start publishing my books, do you know that I was still afraid? What was
Mm.
my question? Who would read it? What will I make money from it? Will I get because English is my second language? I've forgotten that there are editors, there are even artificial intelligence that could actually help me. Who would read it? Would people
Mm.
accept? Fear of
Mm.
rejection. What?
Mm.
What?
Mm. Mm.
I wasn't even thinking. I mean,
Mm.
Dr. Laden, was when I started boom, 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 boom. I was putting money here,
Was
putting money.
yeah. I
Ah,
had to do some trials.
yeah, I just forgot
Mm.
about it, But
Mm.
here I am today, you know. People can say, well, within the space of a year, I forgot about my insecurity. It doesn't really matter. It's my story anyway. And if it does
Mm.
not appeal to you, if I put it on Amazon or any platform, if you choose, you can buy. If you choose, you may not buy. But that doesn't stop me that I have produced that. So
Yeah.
what you really need what is that security? And most of the time we're worried about people's view about
Mm.
us. You are worried, what will people think? For somebody like me, somebody actually told me, I don't mind you, trying all these businesses, but I don't think you should be a coach because you're a
Wow.
pastor. I said, why? My counseling degree, it's about
It's
mentoring. The
coaching.
social
Yeah.
work, it's about mentoring. My PhD in African psychology, it's about mentoring. The pastor's work that I've done for more than 20 years, it's about mentoring. So is it a sin if I ask people to begin to pay for it?
For your skills.
For my skills that I have spent,
Mm.
how many years have I been in school? I
Acquiring.
started
Yeah.
in 1973, my primary
Mm.
one, and I was still
Mm.
studying. I am still studying.
Mm.
And when I saw the line of discussion, I just closed that aspect. She's a woman that
Mm.
I love, that I respect so much. But when oh, I don't think the coaching, I said, okay, that's okay. Okay, you know. But I know that there's a huge need out there,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an average. So what are you doing with people's viewing about you? Are you waiting for somebody's approval? You're
Mm.
waiting for somebody's validation. You are waiting. I was into, even fragrance of influence. With time, I
Mm.
told my children, because they would tell me, I said, in fact, I don't need your approval. I don't need your approval. I will
You
start
don't
to
want
talk.
them to say, "Mommy, go on. Mommy,
No,
don't."
no, no, no. Don't tell me. Don't let me. Allow me to
Uh,
make my mistakes. Yeah,
and they
allow me
actually
to
meant
fail.
well. Some of these people meant well, but that is not what you want to do or what you
That's
are
not
meant
it.
to do.
So it means that you are going to continue to live your life waiting for their approval. Some of us,
Yeah.
we cannot be intentional about our growth because we are afraid we are going to lose friends.
Mm.
We are like the example, that I gave now. That person is supposed to be my very, very good friend.
Friends.
But
Mm.
it doesn't really matter to me.
Mm.
It's your opinion and it's fine and I respect it. But I'm still going ahead anyway. So if you're not
Mm.
happy with the pathway that I'm choosing, then that is your cup of tea. If you
Mm.
choose to continue, with my friendship, that's fine. So these are the things that we need to be very clear about. And if you're intentional about growing, you need to start today.
Mm.
Don't postpone it till tomorrow.
Do something today. Wow.
Do something today. Do
Mm.
something today. So, like
Okay.
I said, how far do you want to go? Well, for somebody like me, I keep looking at people like my Joyce Mayer. I keep looking at people like TD Jakes, to be on the same platform, with them. I'm thinking about Teresa Vale. I'm thinking about people like Funke Adejumo. All right. These are the people, in my line. And when I look at them, you know, that is where I want to be, but I am not there now. So what do
To
I
be an
need to
influencer, to
do?
influence people. Mm.
Yes, what price? And it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you money. And it's still going to cost you this intentionality. If you are not
Mm.
ready, to put time in it, if you are not ready to put money in it, then don't expect any growth.
Mm.
Do not
Mm.
expect any growth. And sometimes when we start on a journey, this is a conversation that I usually have with another friend of mine who is in Canada. The Lord led us, to start, this platform for women. But the kind of harvest we were expecting did not come immediately. And along
Mm.
the line, we were getting discouraged, but we encourage one another. I could see one scripture and saying to her,
Mm.
I come across, one email and, send it to her. She could learn about one course and tell me. She could learn about, she learned about one coach. My friend, this coach is this, but this is how much she's charging. We will talk about the money. It's a lot of money,
US dollars.
when can you go? But one way or the
US
other,
dollars.
yes, US dollars for that matter. And because we have purpose in our heart, that this is the way to go. That for me now, I'm really targeting automation. I'm talking, and I've employed a coach since last year. She's yet to deliver. That's
Mm.
frustrating, isn't it? And that's what I'm telling you, that you need to persevere, to follow through. I could say, what is this thing? I don't really want to go ahead with it. But no, I know the vision that I said. I know the goal that I said. I know where I want. I know how far, and I'm pushing myself hard. I checked,
mm,
my desk. I checked my computer. I was looking for some books. Do you know that even Kindle version of books, I had 50, at least 50 copies that I bought last year. I'm talking about Kindle
wow,
version. I'm not talking about
wow,
hard copy. Yes,
wow. You're
because
investing. That's
yes, if I wanted
investment.
to, it's
Mm,
intentionality. If I wanted to
mm,
write about self-worth, I just don't want to appear anyhow. I
mm,
could just have a look at, Amazon and check any book that is relevant, to that. So $8 is gone. Yeah.
mm.
But now I am not afraid to write about anything. I could actually go into my library. If you look at, my background, it's full of books.
Mm,
It's full of. So how far do you want to go? And what plans do you have to actually get, to that your destination? So I think
wow.
that is also very important. But like I
Wow.
said today and make sure that you do something every day. Tell yourself 50 times, I can do it. Like I said, if you believe you can do it, yes, you can do it. If you believe that you cannot do it, you are right anyway.
Wow. If you believe you can do it, yes, you can do it.
Amen.
And I hope you don't believe you can do it because you also be right. But I know that we are both women on the move and we are willing to make changes. We're willing to make the best of the opportunity that we have. And another thing that we also have to, among the various things that Dr. Adesayo has talked, she's talked about fear, we not being fearful, she's talked about you not having a limiting mindset, allowing others to think for you. She even gave a personal, you know, example of how she has encountered a personal friend, who doesn't really believe she should do things in certain way. There's a saying that if you allow men to build your world for you, they will make it too small for you to dwell in.
That's
Yeah.
true.
If you allow men to build your world or your world for you, they'll make it too small because
Mm.
there is no way someone can think the same way as you. You are the one that knows what you want. You know what you want for your business. Sometimes I find myself that I'm really, really slow. I thought I was a very, very fast person, but I think sometimes I'm really, really slow. But even when I'm really, really slow, I still want to give myself credit as long as I'm not stopping. Okay.
You're not-
I don't allow people to push me. And when I get to do what I really want to do, I give it my best. So at the end of the day, I just tell myself it has all worked out well. So do not allow, people to push you around. Do not allow people to build your world. But that is not to say that we cannot learn from others in
Yeah.
2022. So I want to admonish us because people are resources. And
Mm.
human beings, as much as we have our inadequacies and shortcomings, human
Yeah.
beings are the greatest resources on the
Mm.
surface of earth. And you see, Dr. Adesai was talking about books. These books are written by what? Human beings. She's
Okay.
talking about friendship. These friends are what? Human beings. Okay.
Yeah.
You just need to know how to navigate and maximize potentials in the people
Mm.
that you have around you in
Mm.
2022. Do not be afraid to cut
Mm.
off relationship that you know will not profit you in 2022. Okay,
Mm.
do not be afraid, even to the extent of changing job. Don't be afraid. Maybe some of us that have this empathy, you can imagine Dr. Adesaya have been feeling bad for the university she works in, and she's
Mm.
like, oh, I should just stay on and all that, because
Feeling
sometimes
sorry
some
for
of us just
myself.
get unnecessarily or unduly attached,
Yeah.
and you just feel you have these achievements and you are well known in your place of work, and so you don't want to change, and you're just thinking for
Mm.
them, and you're not
Mm.
thinking for yourself. Be
Nothing.
concerned about yourself. Okay, I'm not saying use people, but make sure you are learning the best from everyone that you see around you, because there is a lot that we can learn from one another in 2022. Human beings are the greatest resources on earth, but just like we have said, do not allow them to build your world for you. Use
mm,
them to further your purpose. Use them to further, I'm not saying using people, but what I mean is learn from people in such a
yeah,
way that it will further your own purpose and you'll not be hurting yourself.
mm,
In
mm.
2022, also, you've got to learn to work smart, not just
Yes.
work hard. Work smart,
Mm,
not just what? Work hard.
yeah.
Now, for those of you that will be seeing my visual for the first time, it may not really be the best output.
And it's all right.
It's
We'll
all right for that. We are going to adjust. We are going to improve. Okay. And for
mm,
those of you that has been listening to my podcast, I'm glad to announce that we're going online to YouTube. We're having a visual attached to the podcast. But what I'm trying to say is it's out of the urge to work smart in 2022,
mm,
that with one recording you can have two different outputs. That's
yes.
one. Number two, whenever I find it difficult to be able to go into the studio, because most time, because of COVID-19 and because of where I'm based, some of my guests cannot make it into the studio with me. Like I'm speaking with Dr. Adesayo now. If I
Oh,
want to have Dr. Adesayo in my studio, I will have to fly her down. Both Women on the Move podcast is not yet rich enough to fly her down. We'll get there.
you are
Okay.
rich.
We'll get there. We'll get to our own goal is opera. Opera. That's who we are following. So you want to have a studio, okay? Do you know that even during lockdown, Oprah created such an impressive technical studio that it will be like she's sitting in the same room with her guests. So
Wow.
she was able to still continue to produce her program as much as possible, even during lockdown, even during the pandemic. So that is part of being smart.
Mm,
Be smart.
mm.
Okay? Be smart. Learn to make use of technologies. Technologies are good.
Yeah,
Okay?
great.
Yeah, they are great. Don't get distracted. And I know there are lots of challenges navigating technology. This morning, for us to be able to get this going, we had to do a lot of,
Mm,
trial and error and trying to get things set up. Don't
mm,
be afraid about that. Use technology. It makes it smart for you. So be smart. Both Women on the Move 2022, be smart. Learn to do things in a different way, in a smarter way. And the way you can learn to do things in a different way, in a smarter way, that phone that you have in your hand, try to maximize its use. Before,
mm,
I used to use a biro, to take notes, to jot down. Now I have Samsung Notes on my phone, and
mm,
just typing and they're taking points. Okay. Before, if I really need to capture the voice of someone, I have an audio recorder on my phone. I just turn it on and it records for me. Be smart. Okay. Be smart in this new year. Also, have an attitude of gratitude. Dr. Disa, you talk about having fear. I think fear comes when we do not give ourselves credit.
mm,
Okay? You are a bold woman. You have moved from a country to where you are. You are a migrant. Do you know what it takes to move?
mm,
Do you know what it takes to move? Okay?
mm.
Take that step to want to leave your country, leave your family, leave your job, your secure job, and move
Yeah,
to another country. Do you know what it takes? It takes a lot.
it's a
So
lot.
when you now get into that new country and you now begin to have fear, just like Dr. Adesayo too does, and you are unable to achieve your goal, no,
Mm,
it's because you have forgotten to have an attitude of gratitude. What does gratitude do for you? Gratitude helps you to appreciate what you have achieved and to look forward to doing more. It
mm,
energizes your mind.
mm.
Gratitude is a tonic for your
Revitalize.
mind. It's a tonic for your mind. It's also a tonic to God. or whatever circumstances you believe has made your goal possible and achievable. Showing gratitude to people, for example. You're showing that gratitude to them. They are able to be aware that they have made something possible for you. But you also, it is a tonic for your mind. Okay, your mind is able to, it's like you're telling yourself, oh, I've been able to achieve this goal. It's like you giving yourself, the way we mark, scoring
Mm,
yourself. It's like a scoreboard for you. That's what gratitude does for you. It helps
mm,
you to be able to put up a scoreboard. Oh
mm.
yeah, you mean 2021 I was able to do this? Ah, I'm grateful.
Achievable.
I was able to do this. Yeah, I'm grateful. Score yourself. Be grateful. Have a mindset of gratitude, and you'll find out that you'll be able to achieve more. Dr. Desayo, do you have any closing remark, any more things as we
Okay.
wrap up for both women on the
Okay.
move?
So I'm just going to maybe elaborate a little bit about working smart. There's something in social work that it's
Mm,
an acronym, SMART. And so
mm.
SMART means that set specific goals,
Goals. Mm,
you know, specs, set specific goals, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So
mm.
that is really important. Your whatever goals that you are setting, you have to be specific. It has to be measurable. So you are not just having one random goal, for the
Mm.
year. Like we're talking about growth. It has to be specific. Oh, this is how far I want to go. You need to be able to measure it. You also need to know if it's achievable or not.
Mm.
Is it also relevant to your dreams or your goals? And what is the
You say
time
time
frame
bound.
that
Mm,
you want to achieve it? So that's all I have, to
mm.
add to that.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Adesanya. So, what's happening on Fragrance of Influence in 2022? What do you want to share with both women on the move? What do we look out for on Fragrance of Influence in
There's
2022?
there's a lot, happening, like I said, and I'm working with one or two coaches. Definitely there's still going to be the conference. I'm working on some courses. I'm working on some master class. By the grace of God, I sent my first book for the year, Unravel the Mystery of You, to my book editor, this week. So that's
Wow.
one is loading. So I'm also working on other book titles. There's another one called Break the Silence, Your Influences in Your Voice. So I'm also, you know, I've set that goal to publish maybe another 4 or 5 books, this year. But definitely we are in, for a good harvest. The fragrance of influence, I've invested a lot. We've sold lot of seed. This is our year of harvest. It's like, having the seed, having the seed. It says that God actually gives the seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So we're turning the seed into bread, and we know that so many women will be able to partake of this bread. So thank
Wow.
you.
Where can we get you, Dr. Adesanya? Where can we get you?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm, I'm actually reworking on my website. So this is the like we talk about growth. I started with
Mm.
one website. I had to do away with that. I had Dr. Adesayo. My present coach doesn't really think that is strong enough to carry. So she's working on adesayoadelowo.com, but it's still work in progress. But I'm also on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. But more so, check for my books on Amazon. Thank you so
The
much.
name is Adesayo Adelowo. Thank you, everyone that have joined us. If you were searching randomly and you just came across us on YouTube or on any of our platform, on our podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, or Place FM 96.9. Thank you for listening, and I hope that every one of us will walk towards being a bold woman on the move in 2022. Till we come your way again, it is bye for now, and I am Morenike Oladende. Bye and enjoy and have a lovely rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.